If you know any middle or high school girls today,
Yo, what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back welcoming you to Stormybman. Boxing since COVID-19. This is a special stream this evening. The brothers from the Three Wise Men of Boxing are taking a break this week, and I wanted to keep the time slot, so I thought I would come on out and still bring you a show. So salute to the brothers that's taking their break. Curtis is kind of recovering. He's been under the weather this week, and he's looking to bring himself around. So he just needed some time to get himself together. And brother Scrapbook Boxing is working rigorously on his 100 years of championship boxing. So it's like the brothers are really trying to get stuff going. So I decided to come out here this evening and bring a stream talking about the sport from a different vantage point. And I was supposed to have someone on with me this evening, but things kind of fell through on that. But we're still going to go straight ahead with this particular subject and topic because no one's really talking about this, and I think we're starting to see some information that can be gathered to take things into consideration. As we know, the entire world has been rocked with the COVID-19 virus, and it has impacted all of our lives. It's impacted our pastimes, our pleasures, our employment, and our escapes. And professional sports happens to be one of those escapes. And we want to pay attention to what's going on presently so we'll know how to move in the future. So as we gather information, we should also gather our thoughts and our minds and put it towards something that we may not be paying enough attention to. So I thought Stormybman would go ahead and kick that off for you this evening. And hopefully others will pick up this conversation and it can be shared amongst the rest of us out here who really enjoy the sport of boxing, because boxing has been impacted tremendously by COVID-19, and maybe even more than we know. So we are here to talk about that this evening. So just know that I don't think I'm doing anything special. I just think that I'm assisting with a call to order when we consider everything on the table when it comes to COVID-19. So just let that be known. Stormybman is going to do his part. So with that being said, we are here for this Thursday, April 1st, 2021. And for all of you April Fools out there, yes, it is the 1st of April. But don't be no fool out there in the chat, okay? Because Stormy know how to deal with you, all right? So with that being said, we're going to go on ahead, start recognizing some familiar faces and names here in the chat. So we got Mike 202 out there. He says, blessings, Sensei. Blessings to you, Mike 202. Blessings to you, brother. And Thrill Hill is out there. He says, salute Stormy. Salute to you, Thrill Hill. And who else we got there? I don't have my glasses on. Taylor Bell out there in that super chat. The brother is hitting me up once again. Says, good evening, Stormy B Man and chat. Good evening to you, brother. Good to see you. The brother Taylor Bell is always supporting the channel, man. You gotta love when you have support like that, man. You gotta love it. So, and we do. Forgive me, I had stopped the needle, so I'm gonna drop it again. Put that needle out there so you guys can see Stormy's got his music playing there. That's the phonograph down there with the wax, okay, for the jazz. So listen up. You might hear a tune or two that you like, huh? So that's what we doing, man. That's what we doing. Big homie Coop is out there once again. Says salute Sifu. Back smack that like button, and class is in session. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Who else we got out there? Bruce Goes is out there. He says salute Stormybman and salute to the chat. Bruce Goes, I want you to send me another email, man, because there's some things going on, and we want to make you a part of it, and to have your information, to be able to contact you and hit you up so we can, collaborate. That's something that was touched on earlier today, and I just wanted to make sure that I could get a hold of you as well, because I'd like to get you on the Stormybman show one day, whether it's on one of the panels for discussion. Like tonight would have been great, but I didn't have enough time with everything I was dealing with today to get in touch with you, or try to get in touch with you through a chat or something, because I know you'd be out there on the other channels. But, we want to get a hold of you, brother, and get your information so we can invite you. Who else we got out here? Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens is out there. He says, salute my peoples. Salute to you, Reggie. Hope you're doing good, bro. And Gregory X is out there. Haven't seen him in a minute. He says, greetings, brothers and sisters. Greetings to you, bro. And everybody else is saluting each other. So yeah, man, we out here trying to make the most. Let me see if I can. This thing is acting a little corrupted this evening for whatever reason, but I'll still let it play through because it's a long loop of jazz, and I want you guys to be able to have a little ambiance while Stormy is talking to you. In case you get tired of looking at my mug, you can just close your eyes and nod your head to the beat of the tunes. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, talking about this situation with COVID, man. It has really taken the world by storm, and no pun intended. And we have to find a way to deal with matters going forward and learn the most that we can out of what this virus does to us. And for those who are participating in the sport of boxing, it may be something a little bit more serious when you start looking at data that's starting to come in. We've had some fights postponed due to the coronavirus. We've had events rescheduled and pushed back. We've had fighters who have contracted the virus, and trainers. And this is the one thing, after recovering from the virus, and we don't know that fighters are taking enough time with what they're dealing with when they're coming back from corona. I don't think enough thought process is given to that, because if you're an everyday person, right, and you've contracted this virus, and let's just say it had you bedridden, or you of course you're going to be quarantined and whatnot till the virus or symptoms abate or whatever. But for a fighter that's going into a training camp, think of it this way. When you're training, you're putting your body through tremendous stress. You're running every day. You're doing your exercises. You're sparring. You're doing so many things. Are fighters giving themselves enough time after recovering from corona to compete in the ring? that may be something that they should pay closer attention to, because we have seen some fights over the last 8 months or so where fighters coming back from corona or may have come in contact with someone and not necessarily had the symptoms, but fighters have found themselves not performing at their peak, at their best. There's a number of fighters, championship caliber, as well as fighters who are contenders, and maybe even a prospect or two. Now, I don't have a full list of those who are the ones who are coming back, from this terrible virus. I don't have a list of that. I actually thought of this doing this stream today, so I wasn't able to gather as much information. Therefore, I had invited a couple of brothers to be on here with me so we all could discuss it collectively, and maybe through shared information, we could expand. But this is something that we can revisit as well. But, when you talk about fighters going through a camp, are they really giving themselves enough time to come back? And let's I'm not talking about come back to fight, but to come back to train. You need time. Your body needs rest and recovery. And for each individual, that can be a different frame of time. Even though your symptoms may be gone and your antibodies building up and you're gaining your strength back, but that doesn't mean run out to the gym. Your body needs time. And it's something that crossed my mind, and I said, wow, and you start thinking about performances, and you start thinking about fights that have transpired, and the performance of fighters, both positive and negative results in matches. I don't know that we've given enough thought to that and shined enough light upon that. So that's what we're here to do tonight, and talk about that. You know what I'm saying? So let's see who we got. Some more people who have joined us out there. We got the brother Supreme Beast Boxing Talk. He says, salute Grandmaster Sensei. Hey, Supreme Beast, would you like to come on board with me this evening to have and join in on this discussion? Because I definitely think it's something that we should have. We should be about here. And I would, welcome your company and contribution. So if you're ready, if you're interested, rather, you can definitely hit Stormy up on the Discord, and I'll bring you in. Just like when you were on the Friday night chop session or whatever, the panel, you're more than welcome to join us for that. Because I think this is important, man. It's kind of one of those things that we don't want to leave anyone out of the conversation when we talk about these things. So if you're available, you're more than welcome to join me. I think I'll be joined by Reggie Owens when he gets a chance to get cleared up. So Mike 202, salute to Mike 202 out there. He says Jamal Herring might still had COVID complications in his first fight back when he had the eye problem. He looked a little different in that fight, slow or something. Povetkin looked slow. Yeah, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that conversation, because Herring is definitely a fighter that I had on my list. I only picked out a couple of guys for myself, but if I get some more brothers on here like Reggie and hopefully Supreme Beast, if he's available to talk about this, they may have more names, and even you in the chat may have more names, because Stormy processes a lot, but you guys may be thinking of fighters that I didn't think about, fighters who were on undercards, fighters who You know who had to postpone matches, things of that nature. So it's something to talk about here. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think it's a breakthrough to have a discussion like this, because I don't think nobody is doing it. You know what I mean? Mike 202 says Victor Ortiz came off the COVID, but it didn't look like it affected him so much in his last fight. Well, we would like to start taking a consideration of how much time guys are taking for themselves to recover from COVID before they go into training. Now, I know they have fights scheduled, but just because you recovered from COVID doesn't mean that your body is ready to go right back into the gym training and everything. That's what we're talking about here. Rashid Rourke is out there, says, peace, my brother. The Wiseman, Stormybman. Peace to everyone in the chat. Peace to you, brother. Watcher is out there. He says, salute everyone. Salute to you, Watcher. Good to see you, bro. And I see you've been following some of the content out there, man, which makes me feel good that you've gone back there through the archives and checking out material. Appreciate that. Who else we got? Retros for Life out there. He says, salute, Stormy B. Salute to you, bro. And Bruce Gold says, my oldest bud died from it the same day Hagler passed. Oh, my goodness, man. My condolences to you, man, for your losing your friend, man. He says, I'm getting my first shot next week. Crazy delays and hoops to jump through. Shaking my head. Yeah, man. Isn't that the truth? I was having a discussion with someone today about getting vaccinated, and I have my druthers about it and everything, because I have pre-existing ailments, and I don't know, man. I would like to know a lot more about a vaccine, because if this virus is going to take me out, it's going to take me out. But I don't want to take a virus that's going to take a vaccine that's going to take me out either. You know what I'm saying? So, man, what a tangled web. You know what I mean? Money in the Ghetto says, Stormy B Man. Oh, it jumped on me a little bit. He said, Jamel Herring didn't look good his last fight. His fight was pushed back twice because of COVID. That's what we're talking about there, Money in the Ghetto. We're talking about this, and, you know, it's important, you know, to have this conversation. My man, Scrapbook Boxing, took time out to come into the chat. He says, what's good, Stormy? 3 wise men shouting out the chat. Hey, Scrapbook, if you're available, pop on here, man, and talk this subject with me, man, because, you know, someone with your vast experience and knowledge of the sport, we could speak on if anything like this, you know, hit boxing before in the past, and what might people be looking to do facing it going forward in the future. And the fact that questioning if our fighters are taking enough time after coming in contact with the virus, if they're taking enough time after recovering to allow their bodies to recover. You know, to me, it's like looking at it as almost as if you were in a really bad fight and you got busted up pretty bad, like with broken ribs, broken hands, you know what I'm saying, bloody liver or something, whatever. It's like you'll need time to recover, and that's not just a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? It's not even necessarily a month. It may go into months. You know what I'm saying? Depending on who you are, because everyone's tolerance is different. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's see I want to make sure I check to see if any of the brothers are out there. Let's see what we got. Just checking everything out. Let's see. Supreme. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Cadillac Red, if you out there still, bro, I opened it up for you to come in and join in on the conversation. That's if you're available. No pressure. Rashid Rourke is out there, says, peace, my brother. The wise man is scrapbook boxing. DT is out there. He's saluting. Rashid Rourke. Watchers out there. Let's see. Tay Brown, sister, is out there. What's good with you, queen? She says, the quiet storm, just to say hi. Dad here in the hospital. Much love. Oh, man. And prayers for your dad out there for a speedy recovery, regardless of whatever he's there for. You know, Tay Brown. Send some positive vibes to Tay Brown with her dad being in the hospital. Brothers and sisters out there. Curtis Anderson is out there, aka Kurt Sugar. He says, salute people, just showing support. We'll be back at it next week. Yes, sir. And DT says, I got my second vaccine Monday and have had side effects since, but Tuesday was the worst. Wow. Okay. Who else we got out there? Mike 202 says, something for Stormy and the Jazz Quartet. Thank you there, Mike 202. Yeah, man. God, y'all didn't know Stormy like that jazz like that, right? But I do, man. I love it, man. Love that smooth jazz. Who else we got? Retros for Life. Boxing is out there saying all post-COVID exposed fighters should undergo pulmonary evaluations. Interesting. Very interesting, Retros, for mentioning something like that. Because with something that debilitates your system, such as COVID, you definitely want to make sure there's no lingering effects, you know. That's something. Mike 202 is saying prayers to Tay Brown, and so is Bruce Goes. Yeah, man, I just, as you said that, Retros, that's another great point, man, to have people look at things with more scrutiny as far as their bodies. Make sure your organs are functioning properly and at their optimum as far as your quality of life. Something should be said. I noticed since I had COVID in the title of my show, they put that little link at the bottom of the screen down here, but outside of my description box, that tells you where to go for more information on this. So if you guys need to, you know, increase your knowledge on this and everything, please click on those links and it'll take you to more information regarding the whole COVID situation, as well as, you know, where you can go for getting more information on the vaccines that are available and so forth. We got Drew Titan in the house. He's out there. What's good with you, Drew? Also, okay, you got Mike 202 saluting Drew, Watcher saluting Bruce Goes. Hey, Drew, are you available to come on and talk about this? Because it's something that should be spoken about. I don't think enough attention has been given to this situation from our community standpoint. And again, when you speak on talking points, this is one that we should not look over so easily. So, you know, if you're available, I've opened up that link for you to come on into the Discord server to discuss this. I think Reggie will be joining in another 15 minutes or so. And we're going to run this show typically in the time frame that the Three Wise Men run. So there's a lot to discuss and a lot to interact with. So I'm here for you guys, and hopefully you're here for me. Yeah. So let's see. Oh, he says he's at work right now. Okay. All right, I got you. But yeah, this is definitely something to talk about. Something to talk about. You know what I mean? Watchers out there in the chat, Watcher, your invitation is open as well, because I told you whenever you get a chance, you can come on and you can make yourself useful. You may have something to offer from the other side of the pond because you're over in a different part of the world, and maybe things are being handled differently over there, and it might be worth sharing information. So if you feel up to it, your invitation to join the show is there as well. If to any of you out there it seems like, oh, Stormy just trying to get somebody on there with him. No, it's like I really feel that this is something that we should be talking about. I mean, rather than talking about purse splits and stuff like that for fighters and who's in A side and B side and who's ducking and so forth and so on, all of that, man, can go by the wayside. Just let's talk about this. This is a subject that all of us can benefit from. You know what I mean? So Money in the Ghetto says, Cool Boy Steph's fight got pushed back and he was fine. But most fighters haven't looked the same coming off of COVID. Absolutely. One of the fighters I was trying to consider and think about was Miguel Burchelt. Miguel Burchelt, when he fought Oscar Valdez, they had a tremendous fight, man. Great fight. And it was an even more spectacular KO victory for Valdez. However, I do believe I had heard that Burchelt had a bout of COVID, or a bout with COVID. And if it depleted him in any manner, it would have made him susceptible to being KO'd. We hadn't seen him in the state and condition that he ended up being in that fight. Not to take anything away from Valdez's performance, but if Burchelt's system was compromised due to coronavirus, hey, it's something that should be looked at. And we're not even talking about this as far as taking somebody's wins away and things like that. We're talking about the health, safety, and well-being of the fighters being able to, stay in a good place after recovering from being exposed to the coronavirus. See, that's what you have to consider. And again, maybe postponing a fight a month or so is not the answer. If you're talking about somebody's well-being here, especially in a fight where someone is getting hit in their head and having pristine conditioning with your lungs and everything, and your heart being in a good place, why not consider taking extra time off to make sure you had a complete recovery, instead of going out there after just feeling better? You know what I mean? Where you just kind of a step out of the woods, so to speak, and something bad happened. A guy who's never been knocked off his feet, a guy who's never been KO'd, a guy who normally could go 12 rounds with no problem, now is finding it laborious to get through 6 or 7 rounds. See, that's where all that comes into play. You have to consider those things. Mike 202 says maybe the fighters that are older are affected more by the COVID. Well, I don't necessarily agree with that, because we're finding that young people have had COVID. You know what I mean? So yeah, the older fighters should always definitely be considered, you know, under care and concern. But I think all of us, man, all of us, we don't know enough about this situation. We only know what they've told us, and they don't always tell us the truth, do they? They're not always forthcoming, are they? And I understand to a certain degree what that could mean. You don't want to throw people into a mass, hysteria. But there's a way to be forthcoming to let people know how serious of a matter we're dealing with. Look at this former administration we had in the White House. If that person had been more responsible, maybe some of the lives that were lost may not have been lost, and maybe some people who got sick may not have gotten sick. You have to have accountability. What we got here? Watcher says, man, Povetkin looked like he was in the 7th round with Joshua. Adam Smith commentating from the Sky Sports. He says, is he gonna make it? Yeah, he did look shaky, even on his ring walk. I observed that, but I didn't talk about it. I'm like, we've got enough of controversy, right? It's like, but let me say this, talking about controversy. One more thing to consider from Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder had gone to Italy to meet the Pope and all of that, right? Before he fought that rematch with Fury. What if he came in contact with the coronavirus and didn't know it? Because he's a healthy man. He's a slim guy, don't have a lot of body fat or anything. So maybe he was fighting it and didn't realize that he was fighting more than just a cold or a flu. Because if I recall correctly, he was ill going into his training camp with Tyson. So I don't know. And I'm not trying to start more conspiracy debate or anything. What I'm talking about tonight is fighters who have come in contact with this virus, haven't all fared well. And it's time to start collecting the data of what someone's experiences were having a match after the exposure or about with COVID. Is there any correlation between like a person who may have fought closer to coming out of COVID as opposed to a person who fought much later? Let's say you recover, right, from COVID, and then you don't fight for 6 months. I'm not talking about you train for 6 months, but you're off for 6 months. Then you have a camp. Now, yes, that's practically half a year or more, but I'm just saying that 6 months of recovery time that you have for yourself. You don't do anything strenuous that you would do in your training camps and getting ready for a fight. You might get up and run every day because that's a natural thing you do to keep your wind up. If you run on a regular basis, that's fine. But we're not talking about going out there doing all those floor exercises, all that sparring, all that bag work, jump rope, all that. Just running. You do your normal miles. If you normally run 6 miles a day, maybe you might be running 3 or 4. You know what I'm saying? Just pulling back until you recover. So let me see here. We got feels like something is in my eye. Crawlface is out there. Salute everyone at Stormybman. Salute to you, Crawlface. Bruce Gold says COVID was the number 3 cause of death in 2020. I believe it. Watcher says, yeah, true. And who else is that? Rashid Rourke says, there are different strains we have to worry about as well. Yeah. And what if they just, what was released on us is just the mildest strain? Because I believe they have a grasp on this thing. I do. I'm sorry. I've been on this earth long enough to know something like that. And if I leave here tomorrow, y'all will know. Stormy said it, so he's not here now, so we have to listen to what he said. On the real. Mark Wunderlich is out there. He says, like button touch my head, 100. King, he said, yeah, okay. Bruce Gold says, that's the whole thing at Stormybman. Nobody knows the post effects because we never experienced anything like this. This is a good topic that should be followed up on. Oh, not just followed up, just, people pick up that it's like a baton. I brought out the baton and I would like to pass it on to you guys, and hopefully some of the other content creators will pick up on that and pass it on to someone else and someone else, because awareness can lead to better preparedness. You know what I'm saying? It's just something to consider. It's like a guy, you have this information, but you don't talk about it, and you don't try to share what you know, and people stumble and fall because they didn't have information to go on. Now, if someone has the information and they still stumble and fall because they're not paying attention or whatever, that's on them. But if you have information that can help save a life, why not do it? You know what I mean? Why not? It's like carrying condoms in your pocket or in your wallet or whatever, right? But then when you go to get your business on, you going in raw dogging. It's like, well, who's doing that? Why are you doing that? Whatever. See you at the clinic. Crawford says, I'm not saying mass shutdowns and isolations is right, but just generally no one really wants to catch even a regular flu. Yeah, man. And how do we know what's a regular flu anymore? You won't know. You catch something and feel like you dying, and they just tell you it's the flu, It's tough, man. It's really tough. But that's why I wanted to talk about it. You know what I mean? My man Artur Beterbiev, he just fought, last month, and he took on that guy Dennis. I can't pronounce his name. And Beterbiev didn't look like his normal self in that fight. He won. He stopped the guy. But it was a little more of a labored effort than typically for him. Now, people are saying, oh, he's getting old. He's always in great shape. He's not one of those guys that cuts the corners. But if I'm not mistaken, due to some injuries and also due to some, coming in contact with COVID, the coronavirus, it caused for delays. And if that be the case, that would run into another problem. Or how about this one? I just thought of this one. And salute to Reggie. I see you in there, Reggie. I'll be with you in just a second, bro. Say you got two fighters who had a bout with COVID. They've had some time off, and now they're going to come together and fight. Is that going to be some kind of hindrance to them that they both were exposed at one point? And now that they've come together under these type of auspices where they're fighting and they're breathing on each other and this and that, will that be a compound situation? Do we know the answer to that? Now, I know it might be easy for a doctor to tell you, oh, no, that's impossible. It's okay for them. Really? We don't know. Just like we don't know a lot of these things. So it's something to really consider, man. Crawford says, catch a flu during training camp, might as well just start over. Heat up and then got to start the camp again for a decent 1 to 2 week flus. Yeah, absolutely. The troll killer, Mr. Shelton, is out there. What's up with you, Mr. Shelton? And he says, they say you're never the same after COVID. I believe that. I totally believe that. Just based on how it's taking people up out of here. It's nothing to be taken lightly. That's why when we were told to wear a mask and, wash your hands and, keep gloves on if you have to, whatever, it's like all of that, I took that to heart. A lot of people didn't. But I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of people in this world, in this country, because I haven't been around the world, but I can tell you about living in America. They don't wash their ass, man. And when something like this hit and people were told to wash, guess what wasn't happening? Yeah. So I want to introduce Reggie out there. What's going on? Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens. Good to see you, bro. How you doing?
Doing good, OG. Doing good, man.
Yeah, man. This is I kind of took a page out of your book tonight, man. Coming up with a stream like this to cover the time slot of the Three Wise Men. The brothers are taking a break for this week, and they'll be back next week. Kurt is recovering, and Scrapbook has been really working on his 100 Years of Championship Boxing series. So thought I'd take the time out to do this stream tonight. And to be honest, this topic came to me today, So I thought it was a good topic to come out with. What are your thoughts so far about what we've been talking about?
No, I enjoy it because I was going to, and it's funny you doing this because I was doing another video because before the shutdown happened the first time, I was putting out a video about what would be the impact of this COVID thing on boxing because it was interfering with the boxing qualifiers over in China. And then as new news is starting to come out with the variants of the virus, spikes, what was once viewed as younger groups not contracting the virus, and now that's beginning to change. And as this thing, who knows, they putting a new form out or however it's leaking out, there's more going into the World Health Organization, looking deeper into China to kind of doing some tracing on where this virus stems from, whether it's from what they come out with the meat markets and bats and then transferring to humans, or whether it's out of a lab. All these countries do this biochemical stuff inside of labs. They use it for military use, who knows? And if something leaked, scientists brought it out, what's going on? But things are starting to change as the country speeds to open up. You look at back what happens the last time we had a pandemic that led to, leading cause of death, leading to a shutdown. And what was it, 19, whatever it was, with the Spanish flu. And the many mistakes made in that era, the same mistakes being made because we come out of an idiotic administration that just end up being voted out. And you deal with society that's in a rush to get back to things, but due to precautions not being made, it just kind of made things worse. And even with the sport of boxing is impacted, as all these sports. And you talking about the athletes, you just look at, from what I was hearing, because I ain't been following too close, what's the name, Derrick Rose, him almost being out for 2 months still battling this COVID thing. I had one of the directors where I work at who she battled it for about 2.5 months, but having no symptoms, but the stuff being, tracing her system. Who knows if you're a host of something? That's another side of things, but you just got to follow what the scientists are putting out here because you can have no effects and it just lingers in your body. So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so, when I was thinking of this and putting it together kind of haphazardly, because we're the thing I want to stress is opening up the door for the conversation. It has to take place. We got to stop thinking like, oh, I just want to get back to a normal way of life. There is no normal way of life anymore. There's what we're dealing with right now and what's on the horizon. But if you take the time out to take into consideration the things that we're speaking on, this sport of boxing, which we really love, in any sport, when these participants are stricken with this illness, it's time to really take into consideration what is the best course of action for them going forward when they're on that road to recovery. Do they jump back into doing what they were doing, or do they take extended time to try and recover? And as we've had some people say in the chat here, it's like people are never the same after having COVID. You might kind of feel yourself after a while, whatever that while is, according to you. The further in the distance that it is that you had it, the better you may think you are. But maybe because you came in contact with it at all is like something to say like, wow, you just don't know how long something that affected you like that may come back or have weakened something in your system to the degree that if you hadn't had it, it wouldn't be where you are. You remember like 9/11, Reg, when the people who survived the collapse of the towers and everything, there were, first responders, there were workers, there were people that were in that community and everything. All that smoke and dust and particles that they inhaled, almost all of those people came down with some form of cancer, respiratory cancer, years later. And, they may have, you went through the shock of the event and everything, and you had a recovery period, right? And then you have this thing where it's like, okay, you've recovered, but what's next? Is something going to start to shut down in your system? You have to start thinking of things in that manner. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Reggie, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My signal ended up dropping out. But I'm listening to what you were saying. But can you repeat the last part I was hearing when you was talking about 9/11?
Yeah, I was saying that, that a lot of those people who were first responders, people who worked in that community, in that area that was traumatized by everything that transpired, a lot of those people who inhaled that dust and those particles and all of that asbestos, everything that the materials, they inhaled that stuff because that smoke bellowed for like blocks, right? I don't know if it extended beyond a mile or more, but because I didn't live in the area, but I know that for blocks and blocks, that stuff was. So if you were inhaling that, a lot of people came down with some form of cancer, like within the next few years. And so I was asking you, what were your thoughts on that? And it's like COVID might be a same situation where, yeah, we just got introduced to that here in the States last year. But going forward, the residual fallout, even for those who may have come in contact with it and so-called recovered, right? We don't know if the depletion of their body or whatever, if something is transpired, we won't know until we have some time behind us from this situation. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
No, but what you're speaking on, and with the even with the particles from 9/11 and the attack on lungs, the development of cancer, all that stuff, because a lot of things what you deal with especially like a World Trade Center building being built in that time, was there asbestos being used in a structure like that as well, and it's being mixed in with those particles, very small particles that attacks the lungs. And also with COVID, from what I hear with it, is that the virus attacks the lung, and that's something that can be real damaging for an athlete, to where heart rate, lung capacity is a major factor that goes into the sport. And I think that's one of the nasty sides of what the virus is that it does attack the lungs very viciously for those who have the virus, where it becomes that nasty within their system, and it attacks them and affects them. And that's what kills off a lot of people, is it develops, I don't know if it's a development of mucus or what it's doing to the lungs, to where a person has to end up on respirators in order to try to fight it. Otherwise, it's just going to willow and die and suffocate, based on this thing just attacking and tearing at the lungs, whatever it's doing. But it's a serious thing, but a lot of people don't view the seriousness of it until something happens close to them. I didn't come across many people, and sometimes when they tell me their stories about losing someone, I kind of turn to where I just don't give a damn, because it's come out to where you've been told how serious it is. People buy into these conspiracy theories and the thoughts of it not being real until they lose a mother, they lose a father, they lose a cousin, they lose a best friend. And then they want to get onto their act. But sometimes you just got to listen. A lot of people listen to so much misinformation. People take words of some of the most idiotic people in society and view them as being scientific. Like, nah, this thing, the seriousness of this thing was showcased when the whole country shut down. It ain't just the United States that shut down. The world shut down. And even with the world opening up, there's still restrictions on countries. Don't want people traveling from particular countries who haven't put a grip up on the spread of this virus coming into their country, as they begin to kind of go about, not normalizing, but lowering the levels of spread of this virus. But it's going to be a while before society can return. And when you're dealing with an impatient society, an ignorant society, because America's been a dumbed down society for far too long. So it's hard to kind of put in this information of getting people to change, to do things the right way. Like you were saying earlier, the other thing that comes with this thing is hygiene. You got so many nasty people up in this dang country who don't wash their ass, who don't wash their hands. There are people who can go into public use rooms and walk out of there without washing their hands. And these are places where people are depleting themselves of bodily fluids and stuff, and walk in there and touch on stuff and walk right up out of there. We live in a nasty society. And if this is a virus that spreads through, if it is through some ill stuff of bats contracting something to humans, or whatever the biological agents or biology behind this, and for people to spread it and other nastiness, people got to learn how to change. And I think hygienics is another thing that has to be taught and spread in this country in order to kind of get a lockup on this thing. And especially as a vaccine come out, that's the other side of things, what's going to slow things down. And it ain't just because I feel when people don't want to take the vaccine, but I'm not one of these anti-vaxxer people, but you deal with a country who's run experiments on people. That's going to be an everlasting thought in people's minds when it comes down, dang, should I take this vaccine, or are they trying to pull something on us? But then the other side of things is vaccines have been crucial to the enjoyment of life, especially for advanced countries, because otherwise you deal in a world that's full of germs and other parasites that'll kill you off without the studies and stuff of vaccines being introduced into people. You don't see a lot of stuff that used to wipe out societies because of the science that's been created behind it. But a lot of people are still leery because of what has been done in the past about this vaccine. It's been rushed. Then we hear in certain sports figures that have taken a vaccine and have died for them. So now you deal with those two double sides when it comes to this type of situation. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I'm not one of these people that's going to rush into taking this vaccine as it hits the mark, or it hits wherever they administer in this stuff. I want to wait until they do more research on this vaccine. And who knows, as this thing is starting to mutate, does the vaccine even work on? Do you got to go back for another shot? And now you got more of the stuff in your system. How does that impact you? So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to take a quick moment to go here with the chat. We got Mark Wonderlick out there who says, my wife's stepdad is fixing to die in the next day or so. Hey man, I am so sorry to hear that, Mark Wonderlick. My prayers and sympathies go out to you and your family, man. Some people had no choice when contracting this, and it attacked them for various reasons. And I don't know your situation, and I'm not asking. All I'm saying is my sympathies and my prayers go out to you and your family in this difficult time, man, because that's got to be rough. And I just, I won't say anything more than, just peace be with your family. We got 88 Sports Talk out there in the super chat. He says, salute family, Stormy and Reggie. Salute to you, 88 Sports Talk. And we got Crawlface and a couple of other people out there sending Mark their best wishes over this situation. Crawlface saying, good points. Without a doubt, there are some nasty, tough flu strains. Yeah, Watcher saying exactly. L-Dub has joined us and says, what's good? Crawlface says, extra complicated is pro sport competitive strategy. An athlete kind of has to hide how vulnerable they may be, or how they're not the same after being ill. Bruce Gold says, when I was a kid, our parents got polio shots. I had classmates with it whose parents didn't get the vaccine. I look at it as kind of duty to the next generation. Yeah, man. L-Dub is out there. Oh, it jumped up again. Let's see. He says, Michaela Meyer had COVID and she looked good in her 2 fights since. Yeah, but L-Dub, that's a very fortunate situation for her, because there are some others that we're starting to see residual effects of people not necessarily being their best after coming in contact with this virus. Reggie, since you came in later, did you have anything that you would like to speak on regarding what I was talking about the durations that athletes may need to give themselves as just recuperative time for their body to recover, instead of just giving it a few weeks and then going back into a training camp or something like that?
No, I don't have no thoughts. I think they just should take the advice of what doctors are putting out there, and ensure they follow all the protocols that are out there to keep people away from them. But I think they should be given enough time. I think if fights have to be canceled, they should be delayed long enough to give a fighter enough time to catch up on training that was missed while they're sitting, if they're having to be on rest, not able to conduct physical activity. They should be given enough time to make up for what was lost. But if the doctors state there a go, I got to go with that. If a fighter is stated that maybe this has been affected and they need to sit out, then you deal with where a fighter making a decision between, all right, he's healthy enough to pass a physical, but he's looking at that money that he needs and the opportunity is lost. And the other side of things is that these other fighters better make these fights, because there's no guarantee that this country doesn't get shut down once again. These fighters don't want to put themselves in another predicament of finances starting to kind of be siphoned off based on their expenses and them being out of the ring. If things are to shut down again, things are looking on the up and up. If you follow that history of that Spanish flu pandemic, that second wave, and that's what these scientists keep talking about, because anytime they're dealing with this stuff, there's always a second wave, whether it's Ebola, this stuff, swine flu, unless they can get put a lid on top of this stuff. But the scientists are becoming worried, but they're becoming worried because you're dealing with the rest of society. You set them loose, they turn out how spring break turned out, other parties and all this other stuff, and they treat it as if it's not nothing serious. They want to return back to fun, but then they come home, they fly, they cross the country, and once again, you're dealing with the same issues that started this stuff to become what it was. But I think a few countries starting to go into like second shutdowns. They seen big spikes, and there's possibility they'll restrict travel into these other countries. But the other thing is they may look into where it shuts down, even dealing with like Dylan White's situation, to where his his arrangements to where he fly. He had to deal with going into Portugal or whatnot because of they don't have restrictions from UK people flying over there, but he was having issues with being able to train at home. So it's just those things you got to factor in, I think. But society, man, you just ain't got enough intelligent people in society. So it's going to be hard to deal with. The cool thing, we got a better administration in here who's going to listen to what the scientists are saying and let these scientists do their dang work. But that's my thoughts with that.
Yeah. Crawlface out there in the chat says workers fought for years to get the med companies to recognize that their deteriorated health was from those dust particles, talking about the World Trade situation. Willie Beecham out there says, salute loved ones. Salute to you, Willie. And Crawlface says, fair enough. Good point. Great points. He says, we know medicine has helped heaps, but we certainly are nervous about rush jobs. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't want to be anybody's guinea pig, bro. No. Let's see who else we got out here. Taylor Bell says, some people are lucky and get very mild cases. Sometimes no symptoms at all. Feel completely normal. Some are the complete opposite, killed by this virus. Unfortunately, it's the luck of the draw. Yeah, it is. And salute to Curtis Anderson, aka Kurt Sugar, out there in the super chat. He says, I had COVID last year. It's the flu times 10, the worst feeling in the world. Yes, sir. And I remember when Kurt was sick, he was really, really sick. I mean, we were so concerned. We were like thinking about, do we have to send somebody over there to check on him or whatever? And Kurt's wife is in the medical industry, so it's like we were very concerned. So fortunately, the brother is still with us, but a lot of people, man, have not been able to shake this thing. And there's something really strange about it to me that make me feel like it's not born of what they say it is, and that it is something more sinister. I don't have proof. It's just a feeling of discernment that is deep within me. And sometimes when those voices talk to you deep within, you have to listen to them. Many people run into problems in life out here because they don't listen to the voice of discernment. It's in all of us, but we don't exercise it enough because we have so many of the things of our heart's desires and contentment in society that we've gotten away from being the real spiritual beings that we are. We have living souls. We have living spirit within us. And when you don't listen to that is instinctive, it's like you can pay a tremendous price, sometimes with your life. Look at animals. Animals live on instinct. They really do. And when danger is present, they flee. For us, we've gotten to the point that we run to danger. We actually create danger for ourselves, which is foolish within itself, but it's a fact. And when you can no longer have spirit of discernment, that means you don't know what's dangerous and not anymore. And the two may be of the same coin to you, and you go out there and do foolishness and take a whole bunch of people out with you for your foolishness. You know what I'm saying? We were just talking a moment ago about people who don't wash their ass, right? But you know, people take money and they put it in all places on their person, huh? In their shoe, in their underwear, in their bra, huh? The crack of their butt. And you use that currency and paper out there to go and pay for things. You going through the drive-thru to get you a burger. You pay currency and you get change. You don't know where that money been. Do you actually take your hand sanitizer and clean your hands real good right there before you reach in there and grab them burgers and fries? I don't think everybody does that. But when you think about it, the more you put it on the table, the more deeper that rabbit hole goes, because you realize, dang, you know what? There's some nasty people out here. No wonder so many people spread this stuff and everything. Then you had the real fools who was out there coughing on stuff, coughing on people, coughing on supplies in the store and stuff like that. Goofing around. Some of them were serious. But all of them are damn fools. This is what we're talking about here. And it's serious, man. It's serious. We just had a brother in there. He said somebody in his family is looking to pass away in the next couple of days because he's got this horrible virus. But I thought enough to come out here this evening to open this platform up for us to have this discussion about this. Yes, centered around the sport of boxing. But everybody here knows of someone that has had a bad ordeal behind all of this. Rashid Rourke says, that's why most are reluctant to take the vaccine shot, because of the unknown. Big Texas, Cleta Smith is out there, says, salute OG, salute to you, OG. And Rashid Rourke says, my niece has it now. She has lost her taste buds. Yeah. Yes, sir. Crawface says, well said, Stormy B-Man, well said. And Crawface also says, Rashid, of course, my best wishes. Thanks for sharing. Every bit of info helps. And Taylor Bell is laughing, saying, I do. Yeah, well, if you do, and your family, you teach them to do, set the example so others will follow suit, man, because there's so many people out here. Dude, do you realize, like, not to gross anybody out, it was once said after a study that one of the nastiest place in a motor vehicle, a car, is under the driver's side seat. They say because people cough and spit and pull mucus out their nose and everything and wipe it up under the driver's side seat of a car. So you purchase a used car, there's a good chance there's all kinds of DNA up under that driver's seat because of how nasty drivers are driving down the street in traffic, or not, but what they decide to put up under that seat, man. That's disgusting. But someone did a study on that, and that's what their findings were. Seriously. That's just one example out of thousands. You know, do you know as people, when I was at Sam's Club, you know, the warehouse store. I don't know if everybody's got them where they live, but here in Illinois, we have Sam's Club. I was at a Sam's Club like last week, man. And do you know there's people in there that they walk through just touching stuff? Just touching. What the hell you touching every damn thing for? Like you got to have a sense of touch to touch and feel your way through the store. They're not even picking up stuff to look at it or buy it or put it in their cart. They're just walking through touching stuff. And when I see that kind of stuff, I think about, is there somebody trying to spread something? Because it's like, that's where my sensibilities that I talked about a moment ago kick in. And I go the other way. I don't want to see that fool what they're doing. Because if you watch them long enough, you'll see they get to digging in places and scratching in places, and they still out there touching and ain't washed a hand yet. It's people that go to the public restroom and walk right out without washing hands or anything. Men and women. You think I'm lying? When's the last time you been to the movie theater? You ever go to the movie theater and then you get ready to leave out the movie theater, you stop at the restroom because you've been sitting for a couple of hours watching the movie, right? And you got to go. How many people you see go in there and they go do their business and walk right on out that door? Sometimes the door got the handle on it and you got to pull it open. So if you touch that handle, you touching them because they ain't did nothing because they walk right out from taking care of business. This is the kind of thing we talk about. This is America. The real deal. Huh? When you watch a movie and they have love sequences and everybody, they kissing on each other and putting their heads between each other's legs and all of that foolishness, right? And the next scene you see them get out of bed and put their clothes on. Ain't nobody getting in the shower. That happens in real life. That's why they putting it on film. Because they don't want the people who do it in real life to feel bad. So, we'll just show what's his name? Russell Crowe getting out the bed with whoever, one of them top actresses, right? And they just, go on, put their clothes on when they get out the bed. Where they do that at? Man, if you don't get in that shower, in that tub and start scrubbing something. But see, that sinks into the psyche because you're actually saying that it's okay to be like that. So how in the world, with Corona taking over the world like it has, can you get on the news and have these reports and say, wash your hands at least 20 times a day and wash them for 30 seconds and all of this foolishness? When you've been showing me that everybody has been nasty as hell for generations. So now you want me to wash my hands for 20 minutes because you ain't never washed yours at all. Man, you gotta be kidding me, man. What you got, Reggie? I know I've been talking a little bit, but you can come on in and say whatever,
No, you was good on that one. But you're absolutely right, man, with the dirtiness of people with this country, man. And I remember, man, at my job before where I'm at now, when I worked at Enterprise, and Enterprise, a company that's sold on customer service, and they try to deliver on that. But they come up with this new thing of implementing that try to, keep customers happy and shaking each hand when you greet a customer. And I was one of the biggest vocal advocates of being against that. And it'd be nothing for me to tell any of these directors when I worked there, I ain't shaking none of these folks' hands that walk up in here. The most I get is, hey, welcome to Enterprise, blah, blah, blah. Shaking hands ain't about to happen. Because see so many times of these people walking from vehicles, wiping their nose, especially depending on what time of the season it is, sneezing, covering their mouths with their hands, wiping it on their clothes, wiping snot from their noses, all this type of unsanitary type crap, and not ones that you see them clean their hands with anything sanitary. You talking about touching hands. And then now look where we're at with this type of crap. Be nothing, you walk into a public bathroom, see someone leave a stall, walk right over a restroom, never dare walk near the sink to clean their hands. I'm talking about people, business, dress, all sorts of crap. So I just tell them, I'm not shaking nobody's hands. You pull that with the rest of them. Either you gonna make an issue out of it, which I'm gonna make it out of it too, or you just gonna ignore it because these customers don't see anything about it. But it was just that, and it's a reason why a lot of times people dap. The dap comes from unity as well. It comes from Black unity type thing. But there's another reason why people dap. It's keep from shaking dirty ass hands to begin with. Stay away from fake handshakes and from dirty hands. So you bump fists. And it's one of the most sanitary things that we do as a people to keep the spread of other people's germs up off of us. But that's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing, man. When you really see how people do, it really is. But again, that's why having discussions like this, putting it out there, make somebody mindful. Do you know there's something that we're talking about or have spoken on thus far that maybe somebody hadn't even thought of, hadn't even considered? And the fact that we had the conversation, it opens their mind to like, oh, snap, let me think. Because that drive-through thing I spoke of a moment ago, that's really real. Some woman reaches deep down, she got 44 double D's, and she reaching down in there to get her notes out, right? To pay for something. But that same woman, she may not wash them double D's in weeks. Huh? And some dude jacking off on them. Huh? And she done had notes stuck all down in there and going through McDonald's and paying. Think about it. I'm telling you, man. It's like it's a nightmare. And now they all of a sudden they want people to get sanitary and clean themselves. You've been practicing this filth for generations. And I'm going to tell you, it's a certain class of people, it's a certain ethnicity of people that do that. Okay? And it's like, really? Are you serious? I was riding the train to work. This was about 3 years ago, before the COVID outbreak and everything, when I was still commuting on the train to work. Some dude sat in front of me and his hair smelled so bad, I had to get up and move. I almost threw up. But he didn't look like a homeless person or nothing. He just was a dirty son of a gun. He sat right in front of me, and the when you sit down and that poof of air go up, from somebody moving, and I smell that, I was like, oh. I'm like, what the? You come out of the house like that? It's quarter to 6 in the morning, and you going somewhere like work or something, smelling like that? It's crazy, bro. And there's people out here that think about things and they say, well, if I was homeless or something, I'd try to ask somebody to buy me something to eat if I was hungry or whatever. Have you ever had somebody walk up to you and say something to you like, excuse me, sir, I have no money, but could you buy me some toiletries? I would like some toothpaste, toothbrush, and some soap. Because when I go to the mission, I can clean myself when I get there. They feed us 1 square meal a day, but I just want to be able to wash myself. How can you turn that down? Because that's a person that has dignity. Think about it. Has a homeless woman ever walked up to another woman and said, Miss, can you help me get some sanitary products? No. They say, you got $1, you got $5, you got, think about it. What do you think, Reg?
No, you're right. I've never seen that, but I want to touch like what Bruce Goes put out there with his point about the Japanese in their bowels, and I think they're extremely germ conscious society. And like for the longest, I used to always trip on Japanese because out there in LA, we got a variety of people, especially people coming from the Pacific side of things. A lot of Asians, so Asians, Polynesians, anyone west of California. We have a lot of them in the country, and I used to always trip when you see Asians come over into this country with masks. They used to wear masks for a long time. Even back in the 90s, I would see this. And I always wonder what it's about. Like, are they trying to say, you see them in black communities with stores, like they trying to say something wrong with us? They trying to say we smell or something? That should be my thoughts behind it. But now as I get older, I wonder if this is in their society where they deal with stuff like that, with the spread of germs and things like that. Because I rarely ever see people of Asian culture shake hands. Even when they're close friends, I don't never see them that close and embracing each other like that. And I mean, in their countries, they do live over the top of each other, but I do not see them shake hands or anything like that. And I think even in their society, with them being so compact in where they live, especially in their thrive, like their busy cities and stuff, they live over top of each other. But I think sanitation and cleanliness becomes a big issue in them. And even in this country, and even in Europe, cleanliness has become the issue in those countries, especially dealing with the spread of disease and infections. When you ain't got proper sanitation or sewer systems and things like that, you develop to where it's spread. Because you just leave something sitting somewhere, something's gonna grow up out of it. Something's gonna grow out of it. You leave trash, filth, anything along to where there's microscopic stuff that's gonna develop from it. And best believe that stuff becomes deadly to a human being. You ingesting stuff, you smelling it. That's why cleanliness is so important. It is super important to keep things clean. And I think as America moves forward, the biggest thing in America is as much as America moves forward with the infrastructure whole type of deal, America has to get on it when it comes to the cleanliness of our cities, dealing with our homeless situations, because that's just going to add to a spread of things. Who knows what can develop amongst people in communities like that, where they don't wash each other, cuts and sores, and they're all over the top of each other. But then again, you walking up giving change to them, what can be spread from them to you? And especially if this is hand-to-hand contact of money exchanges. Those are just some of the stuff I think about when it comes to like dealing with stuff like this, and seeing people come into a country and for decades, seeing them wearing masks and stuff like that, but not educating on what happens around other countries. We even hear, and this is how ignorant us as a society is when we hear stuff like Ebola, and that becomes a joke of, oh, that's just dirty Africans and blah, blah, blah. Now, no, it's a serious issue. Swine flu, thinking that's just something Asians catch from birds or some crap like that. We just become too ignorant rather than taking time of understanding and studying things. Even like when AIDS became a thing, the ignorance that spread amongst people about the understanding of that, rather than us really getting into becoming a knowledge-based society and starting to understand things, mitigating stuff and avoiding it. But that's why these kind of conversations are necessary. But it's only for those with minds who like to speak on these type of conversations and really dig into getting the knowledge of prevention, and even without prevention of how dealing with it, and just having the understanding of this stuff, rather than ignorance being the order of the day. And that's what people live by. And I see ignorance being kind of the order of the day currently. But that's my thoughts with that, OG.
Absolutely. I want to take a quick moment. My man Trick Note, he was in the super chat out there. He says, good evening, Stormy B man, and to the chat. I just stopped by before work to show my appreciation to you as a good man and your love for boxing. Thank you. Thank you there, Trick Note, if you're still out there, because you said you were on your way to work. And I'm sorry if I didn't get to read your super chat before you left the chat. Appreciate your support to the channel, man, and have a good night at work. Curtis Anderson out there said, can you believe how COVID is wreaking havoc in Brazil? It's scary. I had not heard anything on Brazil. I'm not watching news at the moment, so I wasn't aware that COVID is having its way through Brazil. But it don't surprise me, because that's another one of those societies, I'll say, that they're over there doing the who to what for with whoever is available, and people are finding that to be a place to go for free love in the world. And it's like, when you have that type of living, that can happen. Those social and community diseases and stuff can spread like wildfire, man. It's crazy. But you'd be surprised to know that there are cultures who have dignity and don't allow themselves. They don't want to touch you. They don't want you touching on the women and stuff like that. It's like everything has to be done in a regal manner. And maybe something like what we're dealing with needs to put that back in society's mind, that to have distance. Do you know, like, this whole thing about social distancing? You notice, like, when you go in the stores now, they have those little markings on the floor, please stand 6 feet apart or whatever, when people are in the line to go to the cash register to pay for their goods. But in the past, before COVID, you used to have somebody breathing down your neck like this, standing right up and behind you like they want to freak you on the butt or something. It's like, man, get back off of me, dude. Why you so close? Get up off of me. You understand? So now they're forced to acknowledge that. But I was of the rule of thumb that you should be standing away from somebody a few feet anyway. So all of this stuff, man, that they come out now trying to tell people, well, this is how we got to do it. We want you to do it this way or whatever. It should have been that way. And you shouldn't get mad that I want to slug the guy in the chin for standing all close up behind me or something. Do you know we had an incident here? This was like maybe 4 years ago. On the subway train, the same train that I take to work and everything every day, right? This man was standing close to a woman and he jacked himself off on her clothes on the train. And it's people on the train, it's crowded. So he all close up on the woman, so he figured he just gonna jack himself off on her. Another incident on the train, same train. A man got on the train. He was like a homeless guy, something wrong with him. You know, you see one of them guys you see all the time. He gets on and he hits a woman in the face with a bag of SHIT and jumps off the train when the doors open. Some guys took off after him, you know. But it was like the most disgusting thing you could think of. It's like, and these were crimes committed against women. So if you think about it, that somebody would do this to a woman, what kind of human being is that? But I talk about it all the time. You let things go and you let it go and it escalates and it escalates, and next thing you know, it's all out of control. Now you want to reel it in and tell everybody, use these sanitizers and use this and it's going to be better. Bull crap! Because you let it go too far. See, we got a couple more of these super chats out here. Let me get to them. Let's see. Okay, Crawlface out there in that super chat. He says, glad I found this community and wisdom. Salute. Salute to you, Crawlface, and appreciate your donation to the channel, man. And Taylor Bell is out there in the super chat. He says, laugh out loud at Stormybman, ready to throw blows at your neighborhood CVS. Trust me, that happened to me 2 months ago. Listen, man, I'm telling you. There's a lot of people who are out here undisciplined. And when I say undisciplined, that doesn't mean for the moment. They've lived a life of being undisciplined. And it's time for their unpreparedness to bite them in the behind. And they start catching it as a result. Because there is no reason why a person shouldn't understand your personal space. And if you find yourself having to teach them what your personal space is, you should make sure that's a lesson that they learn for life. Huh? And when they get out the hospital, maybe they'll understand and have their own sense of personal space. If their personal space don't happen to be a coffin. Huh? Bruce Gold says, you gotta find a different train, Stormy. Hey, Bruce goes, Chicago is a big city, but that L train, man, I don't care where you get on, you gonna see something before you get off. I guarantee you. It's like, it's just something about The subway here in Chicago, man. That's why I'm so glad I'm able to drive now, because it's like, man, can't take it, bro. Can't take it. I get on there one day, I'm on my way home from work, and this broad gets on the train. She's got on hospital fatigues. So, like the nurse's outfit, that they wear, nurse uniform, whatever. But I'd be doggone if she didn't smell like she just came out of having an orgy performed on her and she hadn't had a chance to have a shower yet. There's no reason on God's green earth that with all these sanitary products out there and everything, that a woman should go out in a public place and allow herself to be smelled like that. It's disgraceful. And I have a daughter, man. And for whoever she knew or whatever, they ain't no friends to her, because they let her go on like that. They should have rolled with her in a car somewhere and drove her somewhere where she could take a bath. Absolutely. They out here. They are out here. So when we talk about this COVID thing, the spread of it, the fact that you had an administration of fools who didn't think that it was necessary to abide by certain protocol to help prevent the spread, huh? And even in that, you saw some of them pay for it, huh? Herman Cain, huh? Yeah. Foolishness. This is real, man. These are people's lives. When we talk about, you just had a few people say here in this chat that they are missing loved ones and loved ones about to perish behind this. We've seen fighters come out and possibly still not gotten over the effects of having gone through COVID. Because we don't know. We don't have a history of this. We're in the midst of it right now. And who's to say if we get beyond 5 years, because some of us won't be here 5 years from now. Some of us in this chat, on this panel or whatever, may not be here because we just don't know. But if this be a legacy for me, that I kind of help bring this conversation out here, and that someone else can pick up that baton and carry it further and speak to more audience, because there's many brothers out here that got far more listeners than I have. I just want to be a part of something that help bring about the consciousness, and we can hopefully get rid of the foolishness, because it's out here. Boxing and Barbecue, salute to Boxing and Barbecue out there. He says, I just touched down in Texas today. I had to tell this dude behind me to back up in the TSA security line. Yeah, man. These people, they be all up on the back of your neck. You can feel them breathing on you. It's freaking ridiculous, man. But you crazy if you let loose on them or run off some shots or something. It's like, oh, get him. Take them to jail. It's like, oh, they want to do that to you. But they don't see the crimes being committed by all of these idiots out here. Man, please. I run out of ammo, Reggie. I run out of ammo because I'd use it. You understand? And it's like, you can take me to the armory. The nearest community armory, and I'll empty the shelves. But I bet you when I finish emptying those clips, you'll be able to move around in society and do what you got to do with no problem. You might have to step over some stuff, huh? Yeah, but you got something.
That's why that's why I stay away from a lot of people, because my intolerance is ignorance. I can't stand ignorant, stupid, zero brain type people. And that's why I tend to not want to go to stuff where people at. It be times I don't want people around me. Just let me do my thing, because I can't stand to be around idiotic people. and sometimes it drives you to where one of us is gonna, the day ain't gonna be good for somebody, and so I just stay away from that. I just can't stand the way in which society has become so goddamn dumped down. It's just so dumped into the pits, and I hate just being around people like that. But it ain't my duty to tell people how to act and this and that. My best thing is just keep away from them, and that's just, I don't know. It's just me. Even when it comes to like when things start opening up, I don't even, when people who because most of my people are still in LA and stuff, but when they come out here, even with this pandemic, a lot of them coming out here, want to stay in the lower price hotels out here on the strip and stuff like this, and they tell me they out here, I'd be like, okay, enjoy yourself. I ain't coming out there. Don't even think about coming over here. Like, I'm coming to see nobody. I ain't even been back home to go see nobody, because this ain't a joke to me. This stuff is real. I ain't taking my kids nowhere. I don't do none of that stuff. I'm gonna wait till things clear up. When the go is given, then I'll proceed with life. But other than that, I can sit myself in home and chill and enjoy myself and save my money on top of that. And that's just the way it is. But I trip off of when I just see people in a rush and doing things like that. Like my sister was on that type of crap until it took for her ass to get to contract that COVID thing, and was messing her up before she learned to start treading with precaution about how to move with the stuff still being out here. But it's just like, with me, people who know me already know how I am. If I ain't own something, I ain't gonna do it. If I ain't going nowhere, I ain't gonna go nowhere. If I tell nobody don't come by to see me, don't come by to see me. And that's just how it's been. Like, you out here, oh cool, have a good time. But me going down there like that, I'm not doing that. I come and visit somebody maybe for a quick visit, but other than that, like, I'm not about to be out hanging, out partying, none of that stuff. Like, I'm gonna pay attention to what's going on with this pandemic stuff until they give the full word that everything's a clear go. But people in society just wild as heck, but that's just my thoughts with that.
Yeah. And by the way, I wanted to say to Bruce Goals, I got your email, Bruce Goals. Thanks, bro. And Taylor Bell out there in the super chat again, he says, forgive me. I lived in Texas all my life. No trains. So who has the worst? Crazier subways? New York City or Chicago? I think Chicago has passed New York City. It was probably New York City for a long time at one time. But now Chicago, man. And the thing was, it's so scary of the change, because when I was a child, I'm talking about 8, 9 years old, I could ride the subway and go downtown and to the movie theaters to see the Kung Fu movies and stuff like that. I would not send an 8-year-old on the subway under no circumstances by themselves today. And like I said, you would think that it gets safer. No, it's less safe. And like I said, I used to go downtown on the subway, pay my little money, change and fare, ride that subway. I knew exactly where I was going, and go to the movies. Usually it was a little group of us, maybe six or seven of us. But every once in a while, I went down there by myself, and it was no problem. But under no circumstances. And I would have to say, when did that change? Probably around the time that I stopped riding trains, when I bought my first car. And that was in my late teens, early 20s. I had my first car and I wasn't driving. So things kind of changed during that time that I got behind the wheel of a car and I wasn't on the trains no more. But it is so much more dangerous. It's unbelievable how dangerous it is on the subways here in Chicago. And people do stuff and they don't care about the security cameras on the train or whatever. If they're going to do something to you, they're going to do something to you. They're going to shoot you. They're going to shoot you. They're going to rob you. They're going to rob you. They're going to fight you. They're going to fight. It don't matter. They just do it. They have no filter anymore. I just told you guys the story of the man jacking off on a woman's clothes. She's riding the train in the morning to go to work. And this dude, she gets off the train. She got cum all on her jacket and her purse and everything. Who does that? And you have to figure, like, the person who did that to her, how did he make it to this point in life without being killed? Because that was supposed to happen to somebody like that. You pull that thing out in public, you don't have it no more. Huh? Yeah. But this is what we're talking about. In a society where they're telling you to wash your hands 30 times a day. That ain't gonna cut it. Let's see, we got Crawlface out there. He says 100% agree. Bruce Gold says, I noticed a lot of people with a false sense of security who've been vaccinated. No mask, forgetting everything we've been told. Keep safe, please. Yeah, man. Listen, that's the other thing. That whole false contingency about being vaccinated and all your troubles gonna go away. No. That's just to get people to get vaccinated, because they can't force it on you per se. But if they tell you how important it is to have, so we can, get back to a better quality of life and things can kind of open up again. So people's like, yeah, I want to be a part of that. Let me go here. Let me roll my sleeve up. Where you going to put it right here? No, fool, put it right here with a 357, because they ain't trying to do that for a good reason. They're doing it for a bad reason. Remember, the devil tricks you. You have to do and submit with your own will. He don't force himself on you. That's that whole provision that's made between him and the Creator. And if some of you people out here not spiritual, don't believe in God and all that, that's fine. But there is a divine order of things. And when you fall on your own sword willingly, whether you realize that or not. When you realize that the blade is sharp and it can harm you and it can take your life, you're supposed to be the one who has enough sensibility to put that sword away or to get away from that sword. Remember, I stated earlier about how people run to mystery and put themselves in a situation where animals are more instinctive and they flee from danger. These fools embrace danger, huh? Bungee jumping, huh? Cliff diving, rock climbing, huh? Remember the dude who climbed the rocks and got his arm stuck in the damn thing in the canyon, and he was there and he ended up having to cut his own arm off to get up out of there? What's wrong with laying on a beach with a nice drink and having a sun hat on, catching the breeze? Why you over there doing dangerous stuff like that? And you down in the cavern and nobody know you there. But he had to cut his own arm off. They made a movie about that crap. Should have been one of them giant monsters like in the movie. Once he got trapped like that, they come over there and start eating on him slowly, huh? Because that'd be an example. But that's the kind of example people need to stop their foolishness out here. But people enjoy the foolishness so much, they just tighten their seatbelt, huh? And press the gas and put the blindfold on. Yeah. Crawlface says, very true, Bruce. Lots of false sense of security. People quick to get back to normal. Taylor Bell says, at Mike 202, unless a lady like Stormybman incurred, he said she was stanking. A lot of stankononia stanking. Yeah, that's true, man. Rasheed Rourke says, right at Bruce goes. Oh, it just jumped up on me again. Holy. This is. He says they don't realize they are vaccinated from one strain, but there are multiple strains. Yeah, you're going to need so many vaccinations, man. You're going to think you're being stuck like a pig on a skewer, bro. Crawlface says, Taylor, I can't speak for Windy City, but New York City public transportation is uncanny. Very shocking moments. I believe that in the big city, only in the big city, bro. And Taylor Bell says, "Goddamn, Stormy B, man, got my wife listening to you, and she is laughing so hard. She Jamaican, and if you know, Jamaicans don't play with that personal space stuff. She feels our pain." Laugh out loud. Yeah, man. That personal space, man, is a premium thing. You know, it's like a lot of people don't understand that. That's why they get hurt. Huh? I was talking to a guy one time, and we were having heated words, and I happened to take a step forward expressing myself. I wasn't like running up on him, but I took a step forward, and he said, don't get no closer to me. And I looked at him, and he was a Jamaican, by the way. And I stopped because I'm like, I don't know if he got some heat. I don't know. It's like, but I wasn't trying to go there, but he was trying to go there. So I'm like, the best thing for me to do is diffuse this situation, because I'm not in a position to risk it all at this very moment. You know what I'm saying? But I never forgot that. And I was like, your actions can get you up out of here. You know what I mean? Now, most people wouldn't think. They being tough and you getting heated and you puffed up and everything. Next thing you know, somebody who don't have discipline, there's that word again. Didn't I mention it early in the show? Don't have discipline. They go all and risk it all and pull something out and do something that they will regret the rest of their life. Huh? So you have to understand. You think with a military mindset, you have to understand when it's time to activate the military and when it's time to stand down. You got something else on it, Reggie?
No, you was drawing memories back, talking about them subways, man. But when I used to catch the L, I never encountered that. But I used to, when the gas prices shot up in LA, when we was paying like $5 a gallon for like regular gas, I started taking our train, because they started developing a light speed rail system out throughout LA, and I just had to catch it. But you talking about them not homeless, but people dealing with mental health. Mental health is another crisis in this country, a major crisis, and people doing some of the most odd stuff you ever seen. But on the L, you can walk into another car. I don't know if people do. They still got the L where you can leave from one train and open the door and walk into another car. On our trains, we don't have that. So you stuck in here with a crazy person cussing, acting irate, peeing in the seats, taking a crap in the seats, and in their mind, I don't know. I used to trip off of that, and I was catching this train for a long time because the gas prices stayed high for a long time. But I started getting accustomed, even when they came down, to just catching the train. If I went to work or I had to go somewhere, I just take the train rather than drive and stuff, and always encounter these crazy people. And then you deal with the ones who you got to watch yourself, whether you don't know if they'll push somebody. Then you hear reports of someone being pushed off of a platform, someone being stabbed, just like you were saying. Like you're dealing with that. And then you don't have to where these places are being patrolled. It's one thing to put cameras up there, but like you're saying, with women being up there, getting off of work late, being vulnerable in spots like that, and it's a crazy thing. But like you're saying, the mental health thing is huge, and like you're saying, it's even worse for kids to be taking these trains by themselves, and that's very true, because this country has, and it's another that goes into another subject about just where this country is going, where we talk about hygiene, the spread of a virus, but also those without the capacity mentally because of other conditions that affect them, and they're just going out here doing things that can get them killed, but also doing things that are hazardous to other people and things that can cause the lives of other people, based on these people just being, instead of being in sane institutions, they're just out here walking freely in the streets and acting upon voices that they hear in their head, and doing stuff like you're saying, walking up to the lady and ejaculating on her, and coming in here in the hygiene on these folks be poor. So ain't no telling what's spread amongst these people. And then in homeless encampments and homeless populations, they deal with the levels of coronavirus. I hear a lot of that misinformation about people saying if it was they use that as an excuse for Corona not being real and saying, well, the homeless are still around. There's high numbers amongst homeless populations and stuff. But as homeless numbers grow, you start dealing with them in these mass public transportation system, especially in the rail system. Ain't like a hop on the bus where you pay the fare and the bus driver's watching you. On the trains is much different. These people aren't paying. They just walk on these platforms, catching these trains and making the rides uncomfortable for a lot of people and sometimes threatening for a lot of people. And they get by with that stuff. They get by with it because mental health is kind of an ignored thing in this society until they go out and commit these crazy acts on innocent people.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I want to go to the chat real quick. Rashid Rourke says, my auntie speaks to everyone from the garage door. No one can come inside. Bruce Gold says, this is a bittersweet show. I like it. Crawface says, oh no, that's not good for Chicago. Bruce Gold says, that's when they closed the mental institution, Stormy. Before that, they had places for people like that. Yeah, they still got places for people like that. It's called the cemetery. Okay? So let's see. Eric R. says, yep, God gave your body the ability to heal itself. Crawlface says, facts. And let's see. We got some more comments in here. This thing has kind of moved on me a little bit. Big Homie Coop says, the trains and subways in Boston are always under construction. Yeah, there's something up with that. Salute to BFTB Boxing out there. He says, what up, man? What's going on with you, BFTB? Hey, BFTB, how'd you like that Godzilla versus Kong, man? I enjoyed the heck out of that. Did you see that yet, Reggie? Well, you say you don't watch movies too much, right?
No, I'm not into that kind of stuff.
Man, I watched that movie yesterday. I had a ball. I must have turned like I was 10 years old again. I watched that thing. Had a good time watching it, though. Let's see. We got some more stuff. Bruce Gold says, sadly, I find this funny as hell. Be That Bitch is out there. She's saluting everybody. Who else we got? Yeah, that's that. I'm all caught up now. But yeah, man, this whole thing, we were talking about boxing and COVID, but you can see how it matriculates out into the regular society. So as we reel things in back along the lines of boxing, Povetkin, the performance that he put on, and remember, he said that, he had COVID and the fight had to be postponed a couple of times. I wouldn't be surprised at the age of 42, which I believe that's what he is right now. It wouldn't surprise me if he were having some trouble, because you just don't know how it's going to affect. It's one thing to be in a gym training and stuff, and you in an actual fight, your whole breathing, your adrenaline that pumps, everything is at a different rate. It's not the same as being in the gym. It seemed like the first time that White hit him on top of the head or something, he did a little buckle. He seemed to even have a little wobble on his way to the ring. And I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but I'm just saying this very simply. Having COVID and getting back in that ring, there should be an ample amount of time that these guys allow their bodies to recoup before going back into camps and getting ready to fight. So that, at the end of the day, hey, but we'll have, as boxing goes further, we'll have more and more data to really look at this overall and consider that, hey, maybe there may be something to the fact that guys may need to take some time to themselves to allow themselves to really recover. Because, it's just something that should be considered. But right now, we don't have enough data. But there have been a few fights where we've seen some questionable performances and losses. And these have been people who have directly come in contact with the coronavirus. So let's just, like I said, we can leave this for someone else to discuss, pick that baton up and go beyond where we are today. And hey, hopefully people become more aware. But we do want to see more people out there practicing that safe distancing and respecting someone else's space, and wash your freaking ass. That's what you can do first and foremost, above anything else. Wash. Get your butt in there with some soap and water and let it touch that skin until it's lathered up, on a regular basis. Not once a week. Oh, I take a bath once a week. You better get your butt in there every day, sometimes twice a day, because you start smelling like boiled onions under your armpits. You know what I mean? But Reggie, why don't you go ahead and give us some final thoughts, man, as we get ready to close this one out.
Yes, sir, man. Thanks to everybody tuning in. This is a great topic, OG. This is my kind of conversation right here. But
yeah, I know. And
excellent topic.
If you didn't have something planned to talk about later on tonight, maybe you can keep it going. You know what I mean? Or whatever. But I know this is kind of, like you said, right up your alley. That's why I was glad that you came on with me, because I know you can hold up your end when it comes to talking about topics such as this. But go ahead. Let everybody know where they can follow you. Give your final thoughts, and if you want, you can still drop that link in the chat if you want.
Oh, yes, sir, man. But I'm laughing because I can't do nothing for a week. You already know me and these strikes.
Oh, you got I wasn't aware you got another one, man.
Yeah, but I got a backup channel now. You already know if I lose a channel, I don't care. I'm going to start a new one. But no, I got my backup channel. It's still the same name. So it's Boxing Conversation with Reggie Owens. And the other one is just 2. But OG, y'all got to go check Mike Tyson's Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson, where he brings Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Sugar Shane Mosley. And this Tommy Hearns still got issue with Sugar Ray. And they come to blows on the show. Mike Tyson calm him down. You got to watch this show. Tommy Hearns he can't get over it. He is crazy, man. It was excellent stuff right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, he premiered it today. Oh man, I was up there dying watching these two get into it. He telling Sugar Ray what he ain't did and he ain't this, and he'll knock him out. If they fought today, they stand up and square off. They test it. I was like, man, this is classic. These old cats still with that fight up in them, but they touch on some great boxing aspects that they cover in that interview, and it's boxing stuff right there. Man, it was enjoyable as heck. But yeah, man. But once again, another great discussion. And like you stated, even with this being on boxing, that's why I cover all this stuff, because boxing to me is a reflection of life. Things knock you down, you get back up. The politics that's behind it, the economics behind it. Boxing is nothing but a mirror of life, and that's why I merge everything within me being titled as a boxing channel. But that's my thoughts on that.
Yes, sir. And thanks again for joining me on this one, man. I really appreciate you being out there for me on this one.
Yes, sir.
Be That Bitch says, very true. She's laughing. Taylor Bell says, hit the like button, family, and don't forget to subscribe. He said 2 times a day. Yeah. Crawlface says, great work, everyone. Be That Bitch says, peace and blessings, family. And Boxing and Barbecue says, moms and I enjoyed the show, Stormy. We making homemade lemon pie. Oh, man, that's what's up. And Boxing and Barbecue, I ain't forgot, man, to hit you up for that dining dish. It's coming soon. It's just that we got a couple of fights on the horizon. Want to get out of the way first, but I'm going to hit you up on that dining dish. Let's see. Crawlface is smiling. Bruce Gold says that Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens, I'm going to watch that now. He says, sound too good to pass. Talking about that hot boxing with Mike Tyson. And Taylor Bell is sending the link classic, out there. Man. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Reggie. What you say?
I said, man, it is classic.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. We're going to, go ahead and get out of here. Anybody want to tune in and check that out? I know I want to check it out. I can watch it before I go to sleep. And kind of let you know what I thought of it after, tuning in. So that's the newest one too, isn't it?
Yeah, it came on. It came on today.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Let's see. I'm trying to get some stuff here together. Let's see here. Live stream background. Yeah, so we're going to get on up out of here, guys, and thank everybody for coming out there this evening and checking us out for this special show where Stormybman did a boxing since COVID-19. Yes, sir. So with that being said, we're going to get out of here. Everyone enjoy the rest of the evening. We'll be back tomorrow night for the Friday night chop session. Reggie and I will talk about what's happening in the weeks in boxing, and maybe I'll be able to let y'all know about my thoughts on this hot boxing with Mike Tyson and Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Shane Mosley, and Tommy Hearns. So peace to everybody. Have a good night. And again, our thoughts, feelings, and sympathies are with those who have loved ones who are suffering through this crisis of this pandemic, man. And just know that, all of us pulling together in prayer, man, we can hold each other up. You know what I'm saying? So peace be with everyone. And we out of here.